not fall for these 5 myths floating around the industry. All right, so I'm gonna be sharing with you 5 myths that I've seen floating around the industry. You've probably heard me talking about, how you need to systematize your business and build processes so you can get out of the day to day and grow your business and scale and all those good things. But there's 5 key things that are holding a lot of contractors back that I hear people saying throughout the industry that I get feedback from. So I'm gonna be sharing with you how to make sure that you're not falling for these. It's not going to be slowing you down, and I'm gonna give you tips and some tricks as well as just a mindset of how to get past this so you can grow, scale, build your beautiful business. So before we get started, please give this video a big thumbs, likes up, subscribe to the channel. Best way to grow your construction company is subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you for doing that. Number one is I can systematize, you can systematize in your slow time. So I hear this all the time, I'm going to wait till winter. I'm going to wait till things aren't so busy. When things aren't so crazy, then I can start, jumping into systems. And when I have, free time on the weekends or evenings or whatever, then that's when I'll concentrate on systems. This is a fallacy. You want to get this thinking out of your head. That type of work is super important. It's not urgent. So that's often why, you may not be getting it done, regularly like you should, but you need to be able to. So a way to overcome this is to set some time aside. Make sure that every week you've got blocked out at least 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending how committed you are to this process, to be working on your business, working on the systems. Sit down, make sure you keep that appointment like you would keep, appointment with your best client, and make sure that you're working on systematizing your business, building processes, learning new skills, and really working on those aspects. Because the thing that happens when the slow times do come, often you'll be too worried because it's like, oh, things are slow. I need to be hustling. I need to be out advertising, doing sales, doing follow-ups, and you're always going to be busy and in the grind, and things get pushed out and pushed out and pushed out. And the thing with systems is once you start building systems, once you set that time aside, it will start having a cumulative effect. It's a compounding. Systematization of a business is compounding. It's hard at the beginning. You don't know what you're doing. You're trying things for the first time. You're trying to learn. You get a system in place. It saves you some time. Figure out a process. It gets easier and easier and easier. So you need to get started, and you need to be doing that no matter how busy you are, no matter what's going on in your business. It should be a continually consistent thing, and that's how really successful business owners scale and grow and become rich and profitable. So that's number one. Is that making sense? Number two, you can hire people to do the job for you, and that will be your system. So this is a recipe for disaster. You do not want to just be hiring people hoping they can take care of the job. First, if you're hiring someone who is able to kind of take care of all your back end stuff or your systems or processes, you're probably going to be paying them quite a bit to work in your business. Like if you're hiring an admin person and just telling them like to take care of things, they're going to get a really bad response for that because they're going to have to kind of create your systems for you, figure out your processes. It's going to be messy. You're going to spend a whole bunch of time training them and, putting out fires because they're not going to have a process. They're not going to have a system. They don't have an operating procedure. They don't have any training, and it's going to cause more chaos and more time for you to get them onboarded and get them running in your business. And even after, let's say, it's been inefficient for a couple of months or 6 months or a year, and now they finally, figured out and they're working for you and getting things done for you. If they ever quit or move on, something happens on, they go on maternity leave or go on vacation for extended period of time. Now you need to hire someone, you need to train someone else, and you're just going to go through all that fusion over again. So what you really want to do before you bring people into your business to help you take care of, your project management or your estimating or your admin tasks, you want to make sure that you have a clearly defined role. So you should have some sort of documentation of who that ideal person is to fill that role, what their responsibilities are, what kind of experience they need. This should all be figured out before you ever put out any advertising for them, because you want to know who you want to attract. Plus, you want to have a standard operating procedures in place. You want to have a list of tasks. You want to have an onboarding checklist so that when you do hire them, they're coming into a really professional business, one where they feel that, hey, there's a process. Hey, this business actually cares. They have all this stuff. They've set me up for success. They're not scratching their head, super confused. The last thing that you want from someone coming into your business who's new, they're already a little nervous. They already don't know your systems, your people, all this stuff, is for them not to have, any kind of training system or documentation. So is this making sense? If you have any questions or comments or things to add, drop it in the comments below. Love to hear from you. I will reply to your comments. Moving on to number 3, we're going all the way to number 5. Each one of these can really set you back and slow you down, even though when you like a lot of these myths, you think that you're going to be making things, quicker or easier, but in the long run, it just makes it harder and longer. So, number three, new software will systematize my business. And this is a very, very common myth and fallacy is getting new software will not help you systematize your business, not in the short term and in the long term. There is a lot of other things that go into it. So you don't want to start with software. You want to start with a process and start with already some sort of documentation so you can use that with the software to make a really great system. And I talk with a lot of contractors who they've bought some new software. They've had it for 3 months, 6 months, even a year sometimes. They've barely used it or they're only using a few features of it and it's not being effective. They're not using it well. So that's why when you do have new software you're incorporating into your business, yes, software will help you with a whole bunch of stuff like automations, processes, communication, management. It is a must for a really successful business to have great software and have a proper tech stack. And I've got other videos about, tech stacks and which software to get. So you can go check out those after this video. But essentially, you don't want to just purchase software and expect it to kind of magically take care of your business. There's going to be a lot of implementation. And I've seen this too with my clients is often we'll get new software in place or they'll be using software, but really getting the software set up and the processes, that can all be done through like tech support or just, some hard work of actually just setting things up. It's the implementation of how you use that software, how you communicate it to your team, how you track and monitor it, how you use all the features together. So there's so much more than just having the software in place and maybe using a few features yourself to really make sure that it's going to be effective and help you actually systematize your business that can scale and grow. That's point number three. We got two more coming up here. You don't want to miss these. The fourth one, creating SOPs is time consuming and difficult. I'm sure you've probably started building some SOPs in the past, some sort of process or procedures or documentation, started writing things out because you hear me say it, you hear other people say it, you need to get this done. And you may have thought like, this is difficult. I don't like writing. I don't know how to do this. It's complicated. I've gone online, I've checked out videos, I've checked out blog posts, and I'm still just can't get to it. So it's actually really easy and very straightforward. And I'm going to be sharing with you really quickly here the fastest way to systematize your construction business. First thing you want to get in place is the SOP, the standard operating procedure. And this is simply a list of like 5 to 10 tasks of like what process do you take for a task. So admin tasks is probably where I would start because you want to get that admin and back end stuff off of your plate. Eventually, you're going to build out SOPs for your field crews. So maybe for like, how to do some finished carpentry or framing or painting or, whatever kind of stuff. If you have on-site, well, if you hire just subcontractors, then it's going to be a lot of SOPs for kind of admin and management, which is where I would start anyways. But just think about like a task of like onboarding a new client. So what are the steps? We need to put them in the database or we need to finalize the contract. We need to send them a welcome email. So just list out the 5 to 10 steps that you have to do for every time you get a new client, they sign on the dotted line. You don't have to make it super detailed or huge description. This can come later. At first, you just want to get it in the right place and have a template for your SOP. It's pretty easy. Just, it's more or less just a list of steps. That in and of itself is already going to go a long way. And how hard is that just to get it out of your brain? List the 5 to 10 steps. You don't have to go into huge detail or anything, but at least you have something that you can give to someone. You hire an admin. Now it's like, here, these are the 5 steps you need to go to. Maybe you have some links or a little bit extra description, whatever you need. Super easy. Then the second part of systematizing a business really quickly, and you're not going to want to miss the next point, so make sure that you're sticking around for that because it ties in with this point, and that is create a training video. So you can easily snap a video on your phone if you need to, if it's like a field task or some sort of like management type task. Although typically when you get started, you're just going to have your SOP document in front of you on the computer. Do a screen share, use Zoom or Loom, something like that. Do a screen share and just talk through doing the task. Show the SOP document and then go through the task of like what you do on the computer. I put the contact here, I do this photo, I send the email to the client, and just screen share you going through the process. And that is now your training video. You've got a document people can follow, and that is the start of your systematized business. Now, how awesome does that feel? Set aside an hour, do that for a task. And once you're done this, you can hire someone and they can do it for you. And now you've got a process. It's just like such a magical thing. And I can't stress this enough that you want to get started with this. And it is a lot easier than you think it is. There's, implementation, like I said, is the hard part. Getting the actual process and system set up, it takes time, but it's not as difficult as you believe. So, is this making sense? Can you see how that can make a difference in your business, in your life, for your employees as well, not just you? Moving on. Fifth point that I'm going to be touching on here is you can't delegate critical tasks. So think about the tasks that only you can do right now that you would not want to delegate because you're worried someone would mess it up, or maybe it's financially, dependent. Those tasks can be delegated and you can systematize those parts of your business. And usually the reason you don't want to give that up to somebody else is because you have not created the right process and you're not comfortable delegating that decision making to somebody else. Can be done. Hundreds of thousands of successful business owners have done it, and so can you. And the way you want to go about this is, again, building out, like I said in the previous step, the SOP and the training video. So things like estimating is usually a big one. I'm sure you're tired of estimating. I'm sure you'd love not to estimate anymore. But at the same time, I'm sure you're scared and worried that if you are letting someone else estimate, pricing's going to be wrong. They're going to miss things. Something's going to get screwed up and you're going to pay for it in the end. So, of course, that's not what you want. And how do you mitigate this? By creating that process, by creating those steps, by creating estimating template that has everything in there so nothing gets forgotten. You have a review process, so you're reviewing it. Let them, handle the estimate 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever it takes, depending on your trade or, the type of contracting you do, and then review it. You go over it 5-10 minutes. No, this pricing needs to go a little higher. I think you forgot this. You should add this. That, isn't clear, yada, yada, yada. Okay, looks good. Send it off to the client. Now, instead of you spending, 30 minutes to an hour, you're spending maybe 5 minutes reviewing it, and you've paid someone probably a lot less than your wage, either project manager or somebody that is able to do estimates. And it's an easy thing to set up. You've already done the work. You've done all these things before. Just need to get out of your head, get it into documents. Hope that's making sense. Here's to systematize your awesome business. I'll see you on the next video.